IARBS, IARCR, and TEHCN. Define what IARBS, IARCR, and TEHCN is. IARBS in a relationship but single. IARCR in a real committed relationship. TEHCN, tenacious, exclusive, highly content, nuptial. Those that are married. So, and I keep doing my eyes like this because when I read my eyes like this, I always look like you can't see my eyes. It just has to do with age, and my eyes no longer have that flow. I have to show some pictures when I was younger. But anyway, besides the point, today I will be talking about relationships, specifically toxic relationship, how not to involve yourself in toxic relationships, and a way out and the outcomes of it. Also, I will be doing my hair because a lot of people want to know how I curl my hair, because I get a lot of compliments on it. I've already put the chemicals in my hair, so I'm not going to do all that. I already wrap my hair, so I'm not going to do that. But here is the items that I put in my hair. Here are the items I put in my hair, and then I wrap my hair. And after it dries, I sometimes I put it on the dryer, a blow dryer. Sometimes I just let it air dry, all with a do-rag or some kind of tight cap. Right now, I have a pillow on my lap and I have my curling irons. I'm not doing it in the bathroom because I'm just in a comfortable spot to curl my hair and to talk. So let's talk. Judges 16:4-31. So in the Bible, there was a young man named Samson. Samson met this woman named Delilah. Delilah was really, from the beginning, showed signs of manipulation. And in a lot of relationships, we do not see that manipulation. And we ignore it because maybe we're so invested or so ready for that relationship or believe that is the relationship that God has brought us. So we ignore it. And by the way, I do have a mirror in front of me. So what happens with Samson is he meets Delilah. Now, let me tell you first of all a bit about Samson. Samson was strong. He was strong mentally, physically, spiritually. Samson was in a relationship, attracted to a female named Delilah. We'll get to Delilah in a minute. Okay, so Samson was a Nazarite with supernatural strength that was a gift from God. His hair was his strength. He conquered and delivered Israel from Palestine's oppressions, which he honored many, 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 many times. Samson was set up by the Palestinians leaders. Like many of us, we get tempted by the flesh, tempted by, what we see in front of us. Some people, different things, but in this case, he was tempted by a woman. The Philistines put a female temptation before Samson. Her name was Delilah. He fell for Delilah. In return, Delilah tricked him, manipulated him, did a good job on what she was sent there to do. So what she did was she got Samson to reveal what his strength was. She kept at him. Oh, you were so strong, Samson. Oh, I like you. Oh my gosh. I know you broke that lion's jaw and you conquered and you are so strong. Oh my goodness. I have never seen somebody so strong like you. She just made him feel good. Okay. So she started making him feel so comfortable that, he felt like he can talk to her about anything. He's like, oh, when somebody makes you feel good, you start making you feel bragging rights, and you forget that your strength comes from God, and those bragging rights don't mean nothing because it ain't from you anyway. Samson was like, he didn't give it to God. He didn't give God the honors. Samson was oh, my strength is in my hair. That's my strength, which was true. You know, his strength was his hair, but it wasn't only his hair. I mean, it was only his hair, but his strength was a gift from God. So also comb this hair out. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. So what Samson did was baby, this is where my strength comes from. It comes from my long, beautiful hair. Feel it. Yes, you can rub it, you can feel it. Yeah, this is my strength right here. Okay. So Delilah was feeling good now. She knows she's about to get something. You know, but by the way, the Palestine leaders did manipulate. They did threaten Delilah. You know, I'm not sure if they threatened her family, but they basically threatened her if she didn't do what she was supposed to do. So she was fighting for her life too. But anyway, so what happened next is, she had this plan. He's gonna fall asleep, deep, deep sleep. She probably gave him some, it doesn't quite say all that. Ouch. Oh, that burned me. When you're doing this, try to make sure that you don't hold on to the hair when you're doing it. It should be just a quick curl. Sometimes, which I really absolutely hate, is that burning smell afterwards. Ouch. Whew. Okay, so what happened was when Delilah did some stuff, evidently, to get Samson to fall asleep into a deep sleep. Sometimes we know how that goes. You have a really good night, you fall into that deep sleep, that real deep sleep, and Delilah, she found a way to get his hair cut off. When his hair was cut off, then Samson, he was stripped of his strength and he was blind and imprisoned. After he was blind and imprisoned, he still knew he knew he messed up. He knew he messed up. He prayed to God. He said, God, please let my hair grow back. Please, God. He knew what Delilah did. And a lot of us are in that same situation. You know, we allow ourselves to fall into temptations of the flesh, and we end up getting manipulated and tricked into our strength being taken away. People have different kinds of strength. So, of course, our hair is not our strength. My hair is not my strength. I cut my hair all the time, evidently. Um, and and I'm just one of those people. I do not like long hair. I even when I was younger, I never liked long hair. And for some reason, every time I cut my hair off, it seemed like it relieved me of much stress. So this was when I was younger. I kid you not. In between relationships, I would end up cutting my hair. If I was stressed from school, anything, I would cut my hair on my head. That's it. I didn't cut nowhere else, just the hair on my head. And I just felt good. I didn't just cut it and bloom, bloom, bloom. There'd be patches here and there. I made sure it was done right, and I made sure it looked cute. And most of the time, I did it my own self. Um, not nothing much. When I was younger, when I cut my hair, it was usually just basically cutting the split ends. But I cut probably more than the split ends. But it was based on basically just the split ends, cutting. So after his hair was cut and he prayed to God to grow his hair back. Once Samson's hair grew back, what he did was he had that strength and he used the last of his strength to destroy the Palestine's temple, which caused the end to thousands of Philistines, and also Samson himself. Many of us have been in the same situation where we are lured away from the destiny that God had for us for a healthy relationship. We don't want to wait. We feel that, this is us. We have this strength. We feel all into ourselves. Somebody comes along making us feel good, and we're easily tempted. We're easily tempted. And instead of us waiting on the blessing that God had for us, that blessing, we miss it. We miss it because we were deceived by something else. And when we're deceived, you can feel it. You usually feel it before then, but you don't want to believe it. You know, the signs are there. I'm always going to say the signs are there because we, and even myself back in the day, so many times I have gotten into, I'll meet someone and, you know, they'll say something or do something. And, you know, I may feel a little bit uncomfortable at first, but I'm like, you know what? I need to get over that. I'm gonna get over that. That's okay. I need to not be so picky. I need to kind of, you know, work with this person. But it's not at all that comfortable, relaxing feeling that you feel, you know, when God blesses you with something, that it just works out. When it's from God, it just kind of like flows comfortably. Don't get me wrong, every relationship is going to have issues, but when it's from God, it can easily be resolved. Not maybe that same day, but you will feel the difference. Guarantee you'll feel the difference. And anybody who is married and has God leading that marriage, they can tell you. Anybody that's in a relationship that God is in, opposed to a relationship that is not guided by God, you can tell the difference. And sometimes when we do have that relationship that's led by God, if we're not ready, we're the ones that are the manipulators. We are the ones who are um leading others out of stray. So this can go both ways. Sometimes we lean into our own understanding and enter into a relationship that was not aligned with what God had prepared for us. That's what ends up happening. When I part my hair, what I do is I try to part it in a line and the little portions into little bitty portions at a time. Such little bitty portions. Ouch. And this usually takes me about an hour to do this. And right now, it doesn't feel like my hair is relaxed. I probably need a relaxer in my hair. Mm. And sometimes when I do this and it's not thin enough, I try to go back and make sure that the curl that I'm going to be curling, it should be very thin. When you're curling it, it should be very thin. Just like that. Very thin curl. And usually, like I said, real quick, because if not, then it can kind of stick and you don't want it to stick. Because sometimes if you leave that curler iron on there too long, and your hair like holding it in there, that makes your hair start smelling that burnt smell. And honestly, with my curlers looking like burnt like this, that is not good either. And I probably need to turn it down. But so just those are some tips that I wanted to give you all when doing this. So anyway, what I also wanted to say is never enter into a relationship without praying about it first. That is the number one thing that you always need to do. And if you don't hear God right away, that is okay. Wait a while. You know, sometimes people have to talk on the phone to this person actually just see it. That's okay, but don't go jumping into further relationship status, intimacy, and different things like that. Don't do that. You know, take your time. Take time. That's the most important thing. Take time. What's the rush? If he is rushing you, number one, that's a bad sign right there. That is already a sign that's a no, 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 no. If you are not able to wait and control yourself, that's probably a bad sign right there. No, 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 no. Because it's not going to go much further, you know. Um, don't get me wrong, there has been some one night stands that had lasted a lifetime. Not exactly sure how, but it has. But I can honestly say about 95% of the time, no, it does not. That is a no. And for women, men are not going to respect you when you do that. What makes you different from any other woman? That's what you need to look at. And if a man is not going to wait, first of all, also, men love challenges. That's why they like sports, race cars, different things like that. They love the challenge. Let them work for it. Let them work for it. If you haven't gotten a dinner, you haven't gotten anything out of it, that's a sad thing. I'll never understand that. Don't. Don't even approach me. But anyway, that's a whole totally different thing. So anyway, pray first. Take time to really hear God's answers. Sometimes the answers is in the form of a sign that goes to show you. Example, a family member met a guy. She had been praying and waiting on God to guide her with a relationship, her soulmate. A new coworker started working at her job. She started talking to him. They started talking to one another. They exchanged numbers. After talking for a week, they went to dinner together. During their dinner, the waiter told her, not told her at the table. She had walked off to go to the bathroom, and the waiter approached her and said, that guy, he's kind of a player. I just kind of warn you because you seem like really a nice person. Well, she goes back to the table and tells him, hey, that waiter said that you come in here with different women all the time, at least once a month. That wasn't smart, first of all. But and of course he's like, that guy just he's just mad because him and I talked both to the same female, and she chose me over him, and he's just a little bit sore over that. And she believed him. She believed the little player guy, the coworker guy. So then what happens is she ends up falling into his bed. I think I could say that because I didn't say anything wrong. And um, you know, to make a long story short, the attention that she was getting prior to that, she no longer got. And with them working at the same place, she started feeling uncomfortable, but he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't harass her at work. There was really nothing she can do. I mean, if somebody doesn't talk to you after you make that mistake, it's really not something you can do. Now, if he started saying mean things to her, and then it's called harassment, workplace harassment. Or so she did not get him, and she ended up leaving her job because she started feeling uncomfortable, and there was nothing she could do about it. But the signs were there. The signs were there, and sometimes the sign is not so clear like that in that situation, but the signs were definitely there. We also need to just remember just to look and listen and be realistic, you know, um, real time, realistic. A lot of people think if they don't get themselves into that relationship right away, then they may lose that person. They don't want to lose that person. Um, so they just go ahead and go along with it, and their boundaries are thrown out the door. They just end up going along with it and compromising their boundaries. If it is from God, if it's from God, God will make a way for that to work out. If it's not for God, then it may go away. Let it go. Let it go. If it's from God, I guarantee you that's going to come back like a boomerang. A lot of times we don't know that is the person, and that other person may not be ready at that time. But God may say, you know what, that was your soulmate, and I'm preparing you. But when that person's not ready, it's still not meant for you to jump into that, because if you jump into that relationship at that time, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work because you entered into it the wrong way. So to make a long story short, just don't rush. Take your time. Listen to God. Just remember to look, listen, and observe, and don't rush. And if you have to compromise your boundaries, it's not the one. If you find being around that person is weakening you, that's not good. for example, you no longer feel motivated, only that other person's needs are being met. There is DV involved in it, or you fear, or there's control, you're carrying all the weight, you still feel alone. That's not good. That's not a healthy relationship. That means get out. This is like if you've already gone past that first date and didn't listen, didn't see the signs. And sometimes you really just don't see the signs. It's time to get out. It's time to bye bye. And sometimes you have to make sure that you find a healthy way to to leave that relationship, because some relationships can be not so easy to leave, you know, in a safe way. So make sure you talk to someone. There's always a number that you can dial, or family members, or just make sure it's a safe way to get out of any relationship, any marriage, any relationship. Okay, so the hotline number, I will leave that down at the bottom. I definitely will. In descriptions, the DV hotline number or abuse hotline number, because that's very good for anybody to have. Even if you're not even in a relationship right now, I think everybody should have that number. If you might meet somebody else who needs that number, you might need to pass that on to somebody else, but it's a good number to have. One of the A good way of controlling the situation where you're not walking into a bad relationship or staying in a bad relationship is, one way is to prevent from not just settling, is not allowing yourself to feel desperation, uh, and also finding find a way to walk in discernment, to practice that, especially if you're not already in a bad relationship, if to choose the right one, understanding wrong from right. I know it's hard, when you're alone, not to feel lonely, but in this situation where you're feeling lonely because you're not in a relationship, maybe you see all your other friends in a relationship and marriages and you're just alone. You feel like you're getting older, or maybe you are older and you had been in a relationship prior for many years, and that relationship ended in one way or another, and now you are starting to feel a little bit lonely. Well, one of the many ways that you can prevent that is, and I know it's really hard, is finding groups. There's groups. First of all, pray. That's what I'm always going to say first. Pray. There are groups that can help you with that. Some people need actual professional help, you know, through a medical doctor, um, which is nothing wrong with doing that. They can give you different things to do that will maybe help you to not feel so lonely. Ways of Because this is why I say that. Um, because if you jump into a relationship and it's a bad relationship, you're still gonna feel lonely. But not only are you gonna feel lonely, now you're gonna feel probably anger, frustration, brokenhearted, um, manipulated, sad, unmotivated, energy drained. Your energy will be drained. Just all these other things that are a lot worse than just feeling lonely. Lonely is a single form feeling by itself. What we bring after we feel lonely and we take certain actions, that is when loneliness becomes traumatizing, um, sad, and just worse. So don't allow yourself to get lonely to the point where you're just picking out somebody, because guess what? That turns out so much worse. For example, have you ever been so desperate that you go look for a car because your car just broke down, and you feel like, I don't have time to look for deals and stuff like that. You just don't have the time. So you go and you settle for the first thing that either accepts your credit, maybe you have bad credit, so you settle for the first thing that comes along, this junk card. They make it sound like it's going to be good, that it looks good, you know, the outside looks really good, and you're like, oh yes, 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 this will get me from point A to point B. It sounds good, it looks good. Matter of fact, it has a nice stereo inside. Oh, I like this steering wheel. Is that engine really running right? You may look at it and it looks like it underneath the hood. You know, it looks perfectly fine. But a month later, it's the car smoking. Um, it barely runs. Now you feel frustrated. You feel manipulated. You're broke, so you can't go and buy another car. That's kind of how it is when you jump into a relationship being lonely. It doesn't work right. It may look good on the outside. It may look good when you first started. You may even think it's just the most perfect thing. It's just right on time. It's you when you're driving that month in that relationship and everything feels good. It is amazing. You're thinking this is it. You know, sometimes it shows in the beginning. It's not that clunk clunk may sound in that car at the very beginning, just like that clunk clunk may sound in that relationship that you jump into that you think is right in the beginning, but it's really not. It was just because you were lonely and desperate. Don't let yourself get lonely and desperate. Seek help before. Seek God, seek friends, seek family, seek professional. So that's all what I wanted to say. And this is how I do my hair, and my hair it turns out. So these are the items that I will need for curling my hair. It's 3 thin combs, use hair clips, 1/4 curling irons, heat detector straightening spray, Blue Magic hair grease, Moisture Miracle coconut olive oil, extra hold shaping mousse, freeze hairspray, and then a mirror. And sometimes I use the body mirror. When life is lifing, keep on living. I'm out.